Christmas season, what's the state of the Christian community in the Middle East today?
Well, in Israel, it's a little different than in some of the surrounding countries. The Christians in the Holy Land, they're a unique community living here and having the witness of Christ in the land where he was born for many centuries. And the Israeli government, it's democratic. They have rights here. They're secured. And even the government recently went and gave them a special identity designation that's not Arab or Muslim, recognizing the Aramaean community, which was the ancient Aramaean language that even Jesus and the apostles spoke and went out preaching from here all over the world in Aramaic. And so this is an important recognition of their value to the country. But when you go to other nations in the region, the Christians there have been going through a very hard, rough time, victims of radical Islamists who in generations past, a few generations ago, purged all the Jews out of their communities, and today they're trying to purge the Christians out. In Egypt, it's a little better now.
The Copts.
The Coptic community in Egypt, it's the largest Christian community in the region, around 10% of the 80 million Egyptians, about 8 million, but they own about a quarter of the economy in Egypt. And so the government of al-Sisi has recognized they're very important to the stability and to the future of their country. And so last Christmas, President al-Sisi visited the main Coptic church in Cairo, and this was highly symbolic, recognizing their value to his nation, their acceptance by them. And so, you know, they're having a bit of a better season now.
Which are the most problematic areas right now where Christians are being persecuted in the Middle East?
Well, of course, the worst areas for Christians right now are in Syria and Iraq, and it's been a real bloodbath for everyone in these two countries over the past decade or so. But the Christians are probably the most vulnerable community because they don't have armed militias to protect them very much. And a lot of when the Islamists decided to make Iraq the battleground for the big battle against the jihad against the West, about a decade ago, a lot of the Christians in Iraq fled north up to the Nineveh Plain, up near the Kurdish areas, and then some over into Syria. They speak the same language, they have the same liturgy and churches, they have relatives there. And then the Syrian civil war breaks out, and ISIS as well, its eruption and fast advances across eastern Syria. The Christians in Syria have been blamed by the government for not taking up arms against the rebels. They've been blamed by the rebels for always having this pact, part of this unique minority government led by the Alawites in Syria. So they've been a victim of both sides. And the last sort of secure Christian community in Iraq or Syria is the ones in the Kurdish areas, which they're fighting for their independence there. They've been very valuable to defeating ISIS and rolling back the Islamic State. And the Kurdish Muslims, they're Sunnis, and they seem to accept the Christians there. We've met delegations from the Kurdish Autonomous Region. It was mixed Christian-Muslim delegations, and it just seems there's a tolerance and a unity there among them that you don't find in any of the other Arab countries.
Let me ask you this. Are you satisfied with the amount of Christian leadership around the world that speaks up about the issue of Christians in the Middle East? Is the United Nations picking up the issue?
Look, we've voiced our concerns about the persecution and violence against Christians throughout the Middle East for decades. I've monitored this issue myself very closely. We've testified to the Congress, to other parliaments about this. Other Christian leaders have spoken out, but I think the leadership issue among Christians trying to defend these faith communities here in the Middle East, it begins with the local Christian leadership and the Arab Christian clerics themselves speaking out on behalf of their communities. But unfortunately, most of them have resorted to this ancient survival mechanism, a code of silence, that they never say anything bad in public about Islam because they know it could cost their community. And there's a certain reality that they live in that we have to face and acknowledge, that they're in a rougher neighborhood than, say, where you and I live here in Jerusalem and in Israel. And they do have to do certain things for their communities, but just don't lie about the condition of your people. It's better to be silent at all and let others do the talking for you rather than undermining when we speak out for them. But the Middle East Council of Churches and some other leading Christian Arab voices here in the region have not been very helpful for their own communities in this regard. It's sad to say.
So it's Christmas time in the Holy Land. The situation for Christians in the Holy Land needs a great deal of improvement. David Parsons from the International Christian Embassy, thanks so much for being with us at WIN TV.